Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. Charting Toward Intimacy covers mature topics. Listener discretion is advised. Hey there, welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, where we're expanding the natural family planning conversation. I'm your host, Ellen Holloway. All right, we are welcoming Danielle Thompson to the podcast. Danielle, I am so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So Danielle's going to share with us kind of her journey with NFP, with charting, and also her journey, a little snippet of her journey with infertility as well. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. I'm really excited for everyone listening to hear Danielle's story. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram, she shares a lot of her story, and it's just so beautiful and has really just helped her connect with the Lord more. And so I'm just so excited to have you here, Danielle, and sharing a bit of that story.
Of course. That's so sweet. Thank you.
And of course, the link to Danielle's Instagram will be in the show notes. So if you want to follow her on Instagram, you can. So Danielle, why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and just kind of your journey with NFP to start?
Okay. So my name is Danielle Thompson. My husband is Terry Thompson. We are from South Louisiana. We were married 6.5 years ago, and our infertility journey kind of started there. So after about a year of not having a cycle, and my OBGYN and doctors and nurses, they just weren't as concerned as I was starting to get concerned. And they weren't able to do the testing that they kept telling me that they wanted to do because I wasn't having a period, because they kept saying, come in on day 2, 3, 4, and we'll run some labs. And that was very frustrating because I wasn't having a period in order to do that. So about 10 months in, I found out about Creighton model, and I instantly dove in. I found a practitioner in my area, and that is when we started charting.
Wow, that is awesome. That's beautiful. The finding of Creighton. I wish more people knew about Creighton who were in situations like yourself needing that support. Because if you're supposed to come in on day 2 of your cycle, it's like, I can't because I don't know. I don't have a cycle right now. And so it's beautiful that we have Creighton and NaPro technology to be able to start digging into some of those things and trying to find out what's going on. So how have you navigated infertility in the context of your Catholic faith?
So I always kind of just stuck by the book. Growing up as a teenager, I did struggle with my periods before they stopped, especially when I started puberty and then in high school. And even though I struggled and it was rough for a couple of years, I never got on the pill. That's just not something that I believed in. And so standing with that and going into infertility, I still stood firm with my Catholic beliefs because there's a reason why the Catholic faith holds so strong to certain things, especially when it comes to fertility. And so I never wavered from that.
So tell me about how, I'm sorry, first of all, that's just beautiful. Tell me about how beginning to chart with Creighton kind of helped both in just a physical sense and in a more like emotional as well as a theological sense or faith sense, I guess. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
So Creighton model was a breath of fresh air because it just was so tangible that I was going to receive answers finally. And so when I started charting and learning how to chart, I was so interested. It really is what began my love for like women's health and fertility and advocating for ourselves. And so I know like with Crate Model, it's supposed to be like, you know, a together thing with husband and wife. And it was, but I kind of just like took it by force, and like whatever I said like needed to happen, Terry was on board and just supported me. But as far as like emotionally, I mean, naturally, I think physically what we're going through intertwines emotionally, especially when it comes to infertility. So it was a lot learning like the biomarkers and learning how to chart, but also so encouraging that like knowing my body was going to help get the answers that we needed and were searching for. And then faith wise, I mean, NaPro technology and Crate Model is full-blown Catholic, like it's theology of the body. So I mean, that helped me connect more with my Catholic faith in that sense.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So specifically, could you speak to maybe some specific difficulties that you have met kind of just regarding your struggle with infertility and using NFP and Creighton charting and things like that?
So we found out that I had premature ovarian failure through NaPro technology. And the most difficult thing was I loved Crate Model, but because my cervical mucus was so out of whack, and because once I got on bioidentical hormones, so estradiol patches I've had to wear with progesterone at the end of the month, that was taken by mouth. Being on estrogen produces peak type mucus like 24/7.
Yeah.
So to track was very difficult at that point once I started receiving treatment and my protocol for POF. So
sure.
I'd say that was the most difficult. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, and trying to treat with those bioidentical hormones, it's still as bioidentical as it is, it's still not exactly the same as what, you know, your body is going to be producing. And so it's just, it's hard to read. It's hard to figure out as we're trying to navigate some of these things. So, do you have any other like difficulties that you've struggled with, and just kind of, could you speak to like how you have overcome or how you're working on overcoming those?
In regards to like NFP or infertility?
Either one.
Okay, so with the care of NaPro technology and Crate Model, it kind of just set me up on this path for like advocating for myself in the fertility sphere, like with doctors and fertility specialists and everything. And one difficulty was explaining to some of my doctors the significance of Crate Model and how it has helped answer a lot of questions for us and how it has led to a diagnosis, whereas, you know, other modern doctors were not able to give us those types of answers as quickly as NaPro was. So I've been ridiculed by doctors, and that was really difficult.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through it. That's just awful. Oh my gosh.
It is, but it did like create this and ignite this fire in me to just keep going. And I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew that what I learned was so valuable and true to my body, and to help us achieve what, we were set out to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. So what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with infertility? Maybe they have a similar story to you. Maybe it's completely different. But I think there's still a lot of similarities with any type of infertility that someone's struggling with.
Yeah. My first advice would be to really advocate for yourself. Take the time to do your own research. Take the time to have the emotions that you are feeling. That's so important, to feel those things. Don't suppress them. Don't let anybody tell you need to suppress what you're going through, or what you're going through isn't real or validated, because it is. Talk with your spouse. Express to him or her, depending who's the one going through infertility.
Right. That is a very good point, because I think we talk a lot about female infertility in our culture, but some of those cases of infertility come from the male side.
Yeah.
And those are just as valid.
It is. And so it's so important to express yourself to your spouse, what you're going through emotionally. Share your fears, share your struggles, share your faith and your hope that you have. And so from a medical standpoint, I highly recommend Creighton model and NaPro technology, because you're going to get to the root cause. No matter what your diagnosis may be, you're going to get to the root cause. Some of their specialties is PCOS, endometriosis. I know they have the laparoscopic surgeries. Mm-hmm. There's just so much success at a much quicker rate with NaPro technology, and I just cannot recommend it more. And there are other fertility methods. Maybe if just tracking cervical mucus isn't the best fit for you, there are other NFP methods out there that may better fit you too.
Right. And we talk about, all those different methods all the time. And this is a very Creighton heavy episode, but for that exact reason, that NaPro technology, they have done such amazing work and have such great research and results in truly finding the root cause of specific fertility and infertility issues. And so, and this kind of harkens back to, we had a couple episodes a little while ago going through a lot of the different method types that are out there. So if you haven't listened to those, definitely go back and listen to those to kind of understand the differences in the methods. But Creighton model is one of the ones that we talked about, that if you're looking to seek medical help for, maybe regulating irregular cycles, or you're just not sure what's going on, there's a reason why we suggest this one, because NaPro technology is extensive and really incredible for what it is.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend it more, honestly. It really is beautiful. And I have witnessed people who I've gotten the chance to tell about NaPro technology have, success, and it's amazing.
Oh, that is so beautiful. I think something that's really important to talk about too, and I know, Danielle, I didn't give you this question ahead of time, so
you're good. Bring it.
Let's just go for it. But, sometimes I think we look at things like NaPro technology and we say, wow, this is incredible. This is the answer. This is going to fix everything. And that's not always the case. Can you speak a little bit to that and the emotions involved in when, maybe you get the root cause, but that doesn't necessarily fix the problem immediately?
For sure. So my story is a prime example of that. So I was diagnosed with premature ovarian failure. And to be honest, I didn't include this earlier on, but when I was diagnosed, I ran to my OBGYN at Women's Hospital, and I was like, what is going on? They just diagnosed me with this. I'm like, oh my gosh, they must be crazy. And
Sure.
I just was terrified, like that this, system, this fertility care method literally found the answer, and the answer was not what I wanted. And so I ran back to, my primary doctor, and she tested me and confirmed that it was POF. And so it took me a few months. It took me about maybe like 8 months. And then I finally realized, okay, I want to go back. I want to do everything that I can to see this through. And so I went back to Creighton Model, found a OB crate. I'm sorry, I found a NaPro technology doctor who was actually an OBGYN, because I know that not all NaPro doctors are. Some could be just a family practitioner, but she was certified to do the surgeries, to do, everything. And so we did 4 cycles where we kind of just did experimental things, because NaPro technology doesn't technically have a legit successful protocol for premature ovarian failure, but because she's so amazing and my experience with her was life-changing, she was like, I want to try to help you. And so we did 4 cycles, and we did not achieve pregnancy during those 4 cycles, but the knowledge that I obtained during those 4 months, the bond that I was able to build with her, and just kind of like, it was just more of like, when I would go to my appointments, it was just like sharing testimonies and sharing faith. Beautiful. And it was just it was so beautiful. And that kind of ended my NaPro journey, because once I finished my 4 cycles, the clinic actually was closing down, and she was moving somewhere up north to another clinic. And but what it did start was my fire to really share about what NaPro could do for others. And yeah, it's been fun advocating for them.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And thank you for advocating for this, because so many more people need to hear about it. They need to know about it, because I think a lot of the more mainstream, quote, fertility treatments are either have a very low success rate, they are not healthy for you, they're not theologically sound, and I'm not going to speak to anything specifically, because that is not my wheelhouse. I don't have all of the answers to those kind of things. Those are episodes I definitely hope to speak more into those kind of things in the future. But yeah, what NaPro technology does, and the amazing research and the doctors who practice it are it's just incredible. So that's
agreed.
Yeah. Well, Danielle, before we close out, was there anything else that you wanted to share from your story, or just any other kind of thoughts on, navigating things like infertility and navigating the emotions, and where NFP fits into someone who's struggling with infertility?
Yeah. So my journey with NFP may have been more short-lived than I desired it to be, just with my diagnosis and everything. But through consistently like advocating for myself, and people who have come to me and shared with me resources and doctors who really do care and look for underlying causes to why our bodies are experiencing what they're experiencing. I recently have connected with an amazing Catholic biochemist, functional medicine doctor.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, she did. Like, the last 6 months have just been mind-blowing to me, because I feel like it's kind of like at least my experience, it's kind of like NaPro on steroids.
Wow.
Because I never thought that I could find answers beyond NaPro, because NaPro is so top notch to me, and they still are. I will recommend them time after time. But because of the underlying issues we have found through this new doctor that I've been seeing, if we get my cycle to where she believes we could get it, I could jump back into NFP and Creighton model and use those tools that I learned so long ago, and hopefully try to conceive and achieve a pregnancy.
Oh, wow. That would just be so amazing. That's
Yes.
such an incredible journey that you're on right now, with this doctor and learning these new things. Oh, that's beautiful. I got chills a little bit there.
Thank you.
Oh man.
I've just been so blessed. I've been so blessed to have such strong faith-filled doctors over the course of the last 6.5 years. And that's including my OBGYN. She's amazing too. So yeah, it's been awesome. Like, God has definitely brought me places and allowed me to share my testimony through it all.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And I think, just to kind of wrap up a little bit, I think some of the things that you mentioned, like, quite a few times, was just for someone struggling with this, like, talk to your spouse, talk to friends, and talk to doctors, and advocate for yourself. Yeah. And infertility is not something that I personally struggle with, but I can really see, just from hearing your story, Danielle, and hearing other stories, the benefits of NFP and charting, and particularly NaPro technology in someone's journey with infertility. And so this is why I want to have this conversation, and why I want to have more of these conversations, because I think it's really important for anyone, even if it's temporary infertility, secondary infertility, all of these, quote, categories of infertility. You are struggling with infertility. This is not something you need to, like, try to stuff in the corner and say, oh, it's like, it's not as bad as somebody else. Like, it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to need to talk to someone and grieve through that process and go through that process. And Danielle, I think that's something you spoke to really well earlier, of just talking about allowing yourself to feel those emotions, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's why I started sharing 6 years ago, is because it was healing for me. And I agree. I encourage whoever is going through infertility to just let it out in whatever way that is. Whether that's going to church, going to adoration, talking to your spouse, your friend group, your girl gang is so important through this too.
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely encourage, just express, let it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's a great place to end, Danielle. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing part of your story. Again, if you are interested in connecting with Danielle, her Instagram is going to be in the show notes, and you can kind of just Instagram stalk her and just read up on her whole story. I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, you can do that if you want to. But thank you so much for being on the podcast, Danielle.
Of course. Thank you. It was so much fun.
Thanks so much for listening. Links to Danielle's Instagram, if you want to connect with her, are going to be in the show notes. And of course, I always love to hear from you guys. So links to contact me either on Instagram or email are also in the show notes. I also do want to give a little bit of an update, as if you've listened to previous episodes, as you know, I am currently pregnant right now and I am due in a couple of weeks if you're listening to this in real time. So I have the next couple of weeks of episodes already recorded, and we'll be putting those out in the next few weeks. And after that, starting in roughly October, I will be taking a little bit of a break. And I'm not 100% sure how long that break will be. But do know that we will be back with episodes definitely by mid-November or December at the latest. So just know that there may be a little bit of a break in episodes, but we will not be gone forever. Until next time.